everybody, to Bearcat Insider. This is the Whitesboro post-game wrap-up. It's Monday morning. The sun came up on Saturday, and here we are to talk about it. Like I said, I'm Chance Kirby, and I'm with everybody's favorite assistant coach, Travis Marsh. I normally ask you how you're doing. I'm pretty certain I know, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Do you feel better today than you did on Saturday, at least?
I won't feel better until Friday night, hopefully. A loss like what we had to endure hurts. It does, and it hurts on multiple levels. It hurts multiple ways. For one, I absolutely hate losing. I don't care what it is. If you and I were going to play paper, rock, scissors right now, and I lost, I would probably say, well, let's go best 2 out of 3. And if I lost that, then I'd probably say, well, 3 out of 5. I hate losing. Can't stand it. And then to lose the way that we lost is extremely disappointing. We knew going in, and for the people that listened to the pregame show, that Whitesboro was not a 1-5 football team. Their record was 1-5, but they are not a 1-5 football team. That's a good football team. Unfortunately, we made them even better by I thought we got out physical at the point of attack on both sides of the ball at times, but
I don't recall talking about Mr. Graves in our pregame show and our scouting report, but I know we talked about him at the Bearcat breakfast on Thursday morning.
Yeah,
he over-delivered.
Yeah, he did.
He was under-promised and over-delivered for sure.
He was a good football player. There's no doubt about it, and they had a solid game plan. And they executed the game plan, but it's disappointing for sure. It was a long, tough weekend. I guess that's the best way to not a lot of sleep. Even when I slept, didn't sleep good, and so I don't know. But it's one of those things that as disappointing as the loss is. As a coaching staff, as players, as a program, we can't get mired down in the fact that we lost a game that, in my opinion, we should have won, because that's just a self-destructive train of thought. That if you get mired down in that, it's easy for the negatives to kind of overrun everything, and then it turns into a huge problem.
Well, I think this is why in your coaches speak that all of you have. Is that a class in college, coaches speak?
No, it's a learned behavior.
Elective? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you always say we have to forget about this week and move on. You really could spend all week thinking about what went wrong Friday night, all the while you're losing traction on focusing on Ponder on Friday.
And it's not just that. You do have to learn lessons from the game. I mean, and there's lessons to be learned. And when it comes to the mentality as a coach, is you can't beat yourself up continually to the point where you lose confidence in your own abilities. And then you also can't sit there and watch the game tape on repeat to the point where you
analyze.
You might micro-analyze every player to the point where you lose confidence in your players, and then it turns into the Monday beatdown. And that's what you want to avoid. There's things that have to be addressed. I mean, there are. And that would be after a win. There's things that have to be addressed.
Yeah, and some things that I noticed that were uncharacteristic of us, in my opinion, is we had 3 busted plays in the game and 4 fumbled snaps, which one of them was a false start, which saved it. And that was definitely uncharacteristic.
And we'll get to that here in a minute.
Okay.
And there's... For one, and this is the last thing that I want anybody to take from this post-game wrap-up. I refuse to make excuses. I refuse to find anything to make excuses. I don't want anything to be said that should let the coaches off the hook or the players off the hook. As a whole, we have to do better.
No, I agree. I think you try to put the pieces back together. The storm came through. now we go through and we see what pieces we can pick up and move forward.
I can relate it to my own experience a little bit. Whenever in 2000 we went to Prosper, and I think we were, Lord knows how many point favorites. I would assume that Prosper team was 1-7 at the time, and I do believe we were 7-1, and our maybe even 8-0. I don't know, but it was very similar to where the records didn't match up at all. And we went over to Prosper, played Coach Jones, and he was over there. And no disrespect to the 2000 Prosper team, but the Whitesboro team that we played was better than that team. But we went over there and lost, I do believe, 13-8 or 14-8, something like it was a one-score game. I can't remember. But I remember that game was a turning point for us. We thought that we were awesome going into that. We thought that we had it all made. We had all the pieces to the puzzle. We had an explosive quarterback in Brad, Ricky Jackson and Scott Deckard and Seth Jones, and they were some of our ball carriers that were excellent. We had good young, sophomore talent that was kind of there with us. Coach Peacock was one of our linebackers, and Blake Holmes and some other Fleetwood. Not Travis Stewart, Fleetwood, Billy Self. There were a bunch of. It was a good team. It was a really good team. We played in the semifinals, lost in the semifinals. But if we hadn't lost that Prosper game, I don't know if we would have had the same success that we had going forward, because it was a wake-up call. I wasn't in the coach's office at the time, so I don't know, how it affected the coaching staff, other than they, of course, were disappointed that we lost. But I know as players, it was a wake-up call that, man, we have to get back our nose to the grindstone, and we have to get back to being coachable, and we have to, understand that at any time on any given Friday night, somebody can beat us, because that's why we play the games. And I think it really gave us a chance to refocus and end up, going on a run. And, one game before the state championship, we lost to Sonora. And so it's up to the guys in the locker room. They're the ones that make the plays. What are they going to do? How are they going to respond?
I felt very similar after that Prosper game. Now that you say that, as I did Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know. What are as coaches? What are we going to refocus and do?
I was keeping stats that game.
I'm sorry. That was pathetic. It was a pathetic effort.
Talking about the Prosper game.
Yeah, no, it was. Yes, the Prosper game it was awful. And we went out there and played uninspired. And so, like I said, back to the 2020 Bearcats. What are we going to do? How are we going to rebound? Is this a wake-up call, and we're going to refocus, and we're going to bounce back, and we're going to carry on? Or is this going to mire us down and be the swamp that...
Let it define you.
Yeah, and so, we'll see. Thankfully, it wasn't the last game of the season, and we have a chance to fix it. That's the, I guess, the positive spin on it.
Well, while you've spent the weekend doing things that mattered regarding the football team, I focused on things that definitely don't matter and are nonsensical, and I was reading all of the comments out there in the world and what people thought about the game. And I'm a Longhorn fan, so I'm cursed by knee-jerk reactors and people that think the sky is falling. One thing that stood out, I had a lot of people ask me this week if we were going to even do a post-game. Now, while we are not professionals, and those of you listening are clearly aware of that, we have a professional attitude. We are always going to do a post-game, regardless of how it comes out.
Even if I don't want to.
Even if I don't want to.
Because I don't. I don't. I really don't. But we'll get through it. Then while we're on that same subject, and this might be taboo, and it's I'm not a social media user. I'm on Twitter, but I rarely scroll through Twitter, and I don't follow many people. I have a joint Facebook account with my wife. Keep your opinion to yourself about that. I don't know the password. I don't log in. I know nothing. But But whenever people are sending me screenshots of things that are said, and I'm not going to address any of them directly, man, I get it that people are upset. I get it. I am too. I don't even like listening to Malaya talk about, Daddy, why'd the Bearcats lose tonight? I don't. But, I understand the expectations, and I willingly and glad to accept those expectations and the responsibilities and the pressure. However, I don't, just based off of the screenshots and what that was sent to me, I don't ever want anybody to question if we care, because we spend too much time away from our own families. If somebody ever thinks that we're not putting in the work or that we don't care about the result, they can come talk to me personally, and I would be happy to explain to them that while the result was not the desired result, it was not due to lack of caring or lack of desire to win,
preparation,
or any of the such. And like I said, I'm not going to make excuses, and I wouldn't, to anybody's face to face, I wouldn't make excuses. I like any coach on the staff is more than willing to accept responsibility for things that go wrong, because ultimately it falls on us, and we understand that. But the difference between me and say Jason Garrett or Mike McCarthy or any of those guys is those guys get paid millions of dollars. We don't. And 7 to 8 hours of my day spent preparing for class and being in class and doing things outside of the scope of coaching. And we do it because we love it. And I do it because I love Pilot Point and I love the program. And of all of the 7 coaching stops that I've made, it means more to me personally to put on the orange and black than any other job I've ever had. And that's not a disrespect to any of the other jobs I've had. It's just, it's not Pilot Point. And so, man, be disappointed. I get it. And have your opinion. I get it. But for no stretch, don't ever think that it's because that's the result we wanted, or that's the result that we, I don't even know how to put it into words. But the other thing is that coaching staff up there in Whitesboro did a great job. They had a great game plan, and it was evident. And so,
speaking of our coaches, saw this a couple times mentioned. How many coaches do we actually have?
Well,
somehow
on the high school staff, and I'm just going to go. I'll start with Coach David. He's down the hall in his own office, being the head coach, and then in our office, which is the high school coach's office, you have Coach Lane, myself, Coach Kramer, Coach Freeze, Coach Alling, Coach McBride, Coach Peacock, and Coach Perez. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, including Coach David.
I saw it mentioned multiple times that we had 15 coaches.
Man, I wish.
And I was running it through my head, and I thought, well, I'm missing a whole lot. We must have a huge staff that scouts, I was thinking, because I don't see 15 coaches down there coaching.
No, we do not have 15 coaches. It would be awesome if we did. I'm sure that we could, get more done and have, a coach for every other kid. But no, we only have 7 and then 8 when you include Coach David.
And then that was one thing that stood out on comments. And then the second thing that I wanted to spend a little time on, everyone, or the majority of the comments seem to have a problem with the defense. Now I'm going to give you 2 numbers here. 43 yards receiving and 117 yards rushing. Do you know what those numbers are? It's not an individual. Let me give you a hint.
No, that's actually Whitesboro's team statistics, and I didn't know you were going to bring that up, but it's just they had 2 receptions for 43 yards. One of them was a 45-yard touchdown, which I'm sure we'll talk about. You'll make me relive it in depth here in a minute. And then they had 1 catch for -2 yards. That's how they were 2 for 2 for 43 yards. And then the 117 yards rushing, their quarterback had a long keeper down the left side. He pulled it, and I think he ran
52 yards.
I was about to say around 50 yards. And then they had another run by number 24 going to the right where we hit him. We had him wrapped up, and he made a heck of a play. I think he went for maybe 12. So that's 70 of 117 rushing yards in 2 plays, which I don't even know how many total plays they ran, but they ran the ball a whole lot for not very much production.
Well, that's what shocked me when I was seeing what people were saying, and which made me even question, did they watch the same game I watched? If you go into any game and you say, I tell you what, you're going to allow 43 yards receiving and 117 yards rushing, people are like, I'll take that.
Yeah, it is, and that's misleading as to the point that, the one stat that matters is the scoreboard. And, whenever you bust on 2 plays that cost you touchdowns, that's ultimately what you're measured by, is especially when you face an offense, and we've talked about it time and time again on pregame and postgame shows, is when you're forced to play assignment football, those they take advantage of you because they lull you to sleep. And so you bust 2 assignments, and next thing you know, you're down points. And then it's not fair to the defense that one of their drives started on the 1.5 yard line. They did
2-yard drive,
and on that 2-yard drive, it still took them 2 or 3 plays.
Mm-hmm.
They still had to work for it, and so defensively, we allowed too many points. It is what it is. You call a spade, but I thought our effort was good. I thought for the most part we played pretty good assignment football on their option, except for a couple plays, and that's what ends up killing you defensively. But no, I mean that I understand that we allowed some points, but let's please not act like the defense was non-existent. That's what is frustrating. That's 160 total yards.
That's our second, as far as allowing points, the second best performance of the year. The Bowie game, as far as points, would be the best because that had a pick 6 in it as well.
Yep.
Well, if there's nothing else as far as the overview that you have, let's go to a break and then get into the detailed portion, which I'm sure you can't wait to jump into.
Oh, well, let's do it.
Cat fans, one thing that I love about walking into the field house is looking at all the old pictures that you have from years past and being able to relive the history of those great teams and great players. And I love walking through with my sons and showing them a picture and saying, man, look at that guy, and telling them a story about a great play. And you can have the same opportunity to do that with your family by using Ashley Marsh Photography to capture your family's great memories. Seeing those pictures of your family will allow you to talk to your kids or your grandkids and tell great stories about things that you've done or things that you've seen or just funny memories that you might have. So if you ever want to document your family's history, please contact Ashley Marsh Photography. You can find her on Facebook, on Instagram using Ashley Marsh Photography, as well as her website, ashleymarshphotography.com.
Located in Pilot Point, Texas, the Chandler family has been making custom cabinets for over 40 years. As a team, Chandler Cabinets is committed to designing and building the perfect cabinets for you. They will make the process comfortable and stress-free by personally guaranteeing a superior product built on the standard of superior craftsmanship and immaculate customer satisfaction. From concept to completion, perfect form and function. Chandler Cabinets is an award-winning company with a reputation for consistent innovation at the highest level of design. You can find more information on Chandler Cabinets at chandlercabinets.net or on their Facebook page, Chandler Cabinets. Chandler Cabinets, 40 years of excellence. Since 1983, the Scott Walker Insurance Agency has been covering the insurance needs of Pilot Point. Regardless of what that need may be, they have you covered, offering homeowners, auto, life, farm and ranch, and commercial. Give them a call at 940-686-2692. That's Germania Insurance, the Scott Walker Insurance Agency, located just north of the town square at 211 Scott Lane in Pilot Point, Texas. Scott Walker Insurance Agency, always there to help.
We want to wish our varsity cheerleader, Abby, a great senior year. Love Mom, Dad, and Michael.
Hi, I'm Greg Pelzel. Here at Pelzel Printing, we do custom embroidery, custom screen printing, and promotional product. You can reach Greg Pelzel at 940-453-5443. Go Bearcats.
All right, big thank you for a word from our sponsors. Let's get into these. I guess what are we talking? Scoring plays.
We are.
Perfect. I hope you can sense the joy in my voice.
Hey, like I said, we are not professionals, but we want to be professional. So
Yes,
here we go.
Yes.
So the first touchdown, and you touched on it before the commercial break there, it was really set up by a 52-yard run by the quarterback.
Takes a snap, hands it to number 21. He pulls it out of the belly, and Matt walks in the end zone. Mac Harper, touchdown for Whitesboro.
What was the assignment? I mean, in general, what happened as far as?
Well, it was triple option left for them, so it was option to our right side, and so dive back hit. We actually we tackled the dive back, which is what you're supposed to do. Quarterback had a good long mesh, and for those at home, meshes whenever the quarterback sticks the ball into the belly of the back and they're shuffling with them or riding the mesh is what you would call it in this sense. He rode the mesh for a good long time and tackled the fullback. When he did, he pulled it, and the way that it worked out, because of the motion of the play, the defensive end took the running back because of the way the mesh went. It wasn't a downhill mesh. It was we're about to get overly technical. It wasn't
down.
It wasn't a downhill mesh. It was a horizontal mesh. So the defensive end tackled the outside run. It was like a power read for us. And there was nobody there for the quarterback. And so he took off, and I do believe it was Jay Cox that ran him down and pushed him out at about the 7-yard line, and then 3 plays later,
I think Avery slowed
tripped
him
him up.
swiping his foot.
Avery made a good attempt. Where in his position, he made a good attempt to try to get him down. He tripped him up enough that Jay was able to catch him, and Jay pushed him out at about maybe the 7-yard line.
So 7-0, and then I know I spoke about it earlier, and you said we'll get to it later, and I don't know if now's the time, but we just seem to be stuck in the mud, and as far as offensively, and not really. Is that as
well? The main thing is when you're not on, you miss out on certain things not being right there on the field, and the string of false starts and bad snaps that we had early, and even whenever you're scouting opponents on film, you don't get to hear what's going on the field. They had a call where they would change their alignment. They would move half of a gap, based off whatever they saw that was their game plan. Whenever they did that, they would loudly, quickly yell bounce. Within the rules, that is okay. You can't yell go or hut or anything, but for whatever reason, they chose bounce. And so everybody get lined up. We were, in the scheme of things, we were ready to snap the football, and then all of a sudden, bounce. Well, we snapped the ball. Well, whenever they came off after it happened on 3rd down, and then we punted it, whenever they were coming off the field, they're like, Coach, they're yelling go or whatever they were yelling. And so I asked the official who was on our sideline. I said, hey man, our offensive line is saying they're yelling go or they're giving a snap count. Can you check on that for me? And so we went through one more drive, and he came back and he told us, hey Coach, they have a line call that they switch positions and they're yelling bounce. So there's nothing illegal going on, which hats off to the official for checking on it. And that's just an adjustment that we had to make. But it caused enough confusion before we made the adjustment.
Well, that's why when I was pointing the 3 busted plays and 4 issues with the snap, it wasn't that it was excuses. It's that, to me, I see those things as almost a positive because they're simple things that we can correct.
Yeah,
forward.
That was the snap problem. There was one bad snap where it was a hurried snap because we thought they were offsides. Mm-hmm. And so we quick snapped it trying to get the 5-yard penalty, and it ended up being a bad snap. And so, things happen. This was a game, again, not to make excuses. Whenever you're playing a game that's built around an oblong football that takes weird bounces, there were some plays that just didn't bounce our way.
Well, and I hope that people listening, I'm not asking you for excuses, but I do want answers.
Yeah,
and
no.
so if I have to get answers, and if people want to interpret those as excuses, they're misunderstanding what we're doing.
Yeah, no, this isn't an excuse show. It is what it is, and I'm just going to answer you as straightforwardly as I can answer you.
It's a very dark and
it is
down post-game show.
I'm sitting here looking at this, again, sponsors, if you're listening, I'm sitting here looking at this Hostess Ding Dong, and I cannot wait to take a bite as soon as you're done questioning me.
We had a commercial break. You should have went right in. But anyway, all right, next touchdown, second quarter. Again, just a big play, and I'm sure that's an assignment issue as well. It's a 45-yard TD.
And it is going to be a play-action pass up the seam. Tristan Trubenbach had his eyes in the backfield. And number 6, there he is, Jacob Smith, right up the seam. Takes the ball up all the way for a Whitesboro Bearcat touchdown.
Man, and on that play, where do you start? For one, the defensive ends, they didn't get a piece of either one of those slots, and they were supposed to. It was the call that was made, and so something we had actually worked on now for 2 weeks, and get to game time, and they didn't do their job. They didn't hit the slot receiver. The slot receiver actually, both of them went underneath, but we have outside linebackers, and the outside linebackers were in coverage on them, and both slots were actually wide open, and then you have Avery in the middle, and so the quarterback did a good job of not really looking Avery off, but he didn't stare down his receiver that he wanted to go to, and so Avery made a late break on the ball. But if you look at number 6, who's the guy that scored it, Stripmatter was a defensive end up on that side, didn't get a piece of him. Tristan Trubenbach was the outside linebacker who didn't cover him, and then Avery didn't break in time. And so 3 people are kind of responsible for a breakdown. But it wasn't any better on the other side. If he'd have thrown it to the slot on the right, it would have been the same result.
It's kind of like I watched that show on TV called Seconds from Disaster, and there's this whole chain of events that if just one of those things doesn't happen, the disaster doesn't happen. And so essentially you're saying it was a whole combination of a string of events, and if one may have changed it either way.
If the defensive end gets his hands on the guy, maybe it changes. Maybe it helps the outside linebacker out enough. If the outside linebacker covers a little bit better, maybe the throw's not as tight of a throw, or it's a tighter throw because of the coverage, or maybe he has to put more air under it, which gives Avery a better chance to get over there. It's a string of events, and it's one of those things where you're never going to play perfect defense for a whole game. It's just going to happen. A shutout is so rare because of that. If you can escape the breakdowns if you escape the breakdown without allowing a touchdown, that's how shutout happens, because it is hard to play perfect defense against a decent team.
It seemed like a very timely call. I mean, I know this is the Pilot Point Bearcat show, but it seemed like that was
they lulled us to sleep with the quarterback gave ball down to the right. Well, we'd seen that all game, and so you get to the point where as a player you see the same thing, and you just get used to reacting.
Yeah, it's kind of what it was almost as if they set it up and they're like, this is the time.
Yeah, no, that's
like
it.
That was the plan. I don't know who their offensive coordinator is, but he's like, hey, we're gonna get them to where we want them, and then once we have them there, we're gonna take mine and your the touchdown play.
Now that we're on Ponder, if you watch the Ponder film, they score on Ponder with the exact same play, and the free safety bites, and the guy gets behind him, and that's just what they do. But there's no way to prepare for it, because it's not like it's a 4th and 15 deep ball or a 3rd and 13 deep ball.
It almost plays on the defense's psychology. I mean, it just habit. Take advantage
Whoops.
of it.
Yeah. No, and that's it. And that's the breakdown. And it sucks, but that's how it happened.
And then next scoring play was Whitesboro's got down there and kicked a good field goal, 40-something yards. I think it was 41.
Yeah.
Snap, hold, the kick is up. It is long enough, and it is right through the middle. It might have been good from 47.
That ultimately, to me, is what changed the game because it made it a 3-score game.
When we've talked for 2 weeks about scoring before half.
Yeah.
In that the mentality changes whenever you're down 3 scores, because it's easy when you're down 2 scores to rationalize as saying, okay, we go down, we get a score, we get a stop, and then it's a 1-possession game. And it's like, all right, man, we have hope. And then a 3-score game, all of a sudden, you start looking at the clock and you start thinking, man, do we have time? Do we have time to score 3 times and fit 2 stops in between them? That's whenever it starts stressing you on both sides of the ball, because defensively you're saying we got to get the ball back, and then offensively you start getting out of character because now it turns into a 3-yard run, which would normally be a good football play, a 3 or 4 yard run. You're like, all right, cool, 2nd and 6, we can work with this. Now it's like, oh my gosh, 2nd and 6, we have to get bigger chunks, and so that hurts. But they have an excellent kicker. He did a good job.
And punter. I mean, every time the ball's kicked, it was.
Now I do believe they were lined up for a fake field goal before they called a timeout.
You do?
Mm-hmm. And Coach Lane had made a point all week to tell them, hey, if this number combination is in the back, they're going to run a fake field goal. And that number combination was there, and I think Coach Lane was probably screaming his head off on the sidelines that a fake was coming. And they call a timeout, and then whenever they come back out, that kicker that made the kick wasn't even on the field the first time.
Yeah.
So hats off to Coach Lane.
All right, so we come out at half and start putting together a drive. We actually had a 17-play drive.
Yeah.
That ended in bad news. We fumble, they run it down, and then that's the 2-yard drive that we discussed earlier.
Was that the 2-yard drive, or was the 2-yard drive off of an interception?
See, now you stumped me. I thought it was off of.
I answered my own question. It was a 2-yard drive off of an interception.
It was?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so where did the fumble end up?
The fumble ended up on about the 23, 25-yard line.
And then we held them?
Yeah.
You've watched more game film than I have then.
Yeah. I actually think the fumble and the field goal go together.
Okay. In the first half?
No, you're right. But no, the 2-yard drive is off of an interception.
Okay. All right. No, let's bring it all back.
Yeah. Anyways, 2-yard drive off of an interception. Like I said, they had to work for it a little bit. I think it took them 2 or 3 plays, but they got down there because of a route running miscue along with a overthrow, and they were there to get it. It didn't make. There was actually a guy blocking the person who intercepted the ball. So, you can make a case for offensive pass interference. And it just happens. Sucks, but it happens. I don't, there's no other explanation for it. It was just, the play was not executed properly on multiple levels. And, that's, to quote Ron Washington, that's the way football go.
Exactly.
Especially on Friday night.
I was impressed with the 17-play drive.
Yeah, no, you got good hard running from Ish. He was putting his head down and getting what he could get, and the offensive line was getting a little bit of the best push we probably got all night. We completed quick passes. It was a good drive until the fumble. And the fumble was off of a little bit of a bad snap and then a little bit of a bad mesh, and when we went to recover the all that, the ball bounced.
Now you've flipped on me. Now you're saying fumble.
No, that's what ended that drive. The 17-play drive ended on a fumble.
Well, you just were saying an interception.
No, that's not how they got to the 2-yard line.
Oh, okay.
See, you're off.
I don't doubt that.
No, but the long drive that you're talking about ended on a fumble. And the ball just bounced the wrong way whenever Dakota went to recover it. It was supposed to bounce back towards him, and it bounced away from him. And they scooped it up.
It's weird how that happens
Yeah,
sometimes.
well, you know, it was that kind of game.
So then our lone scorer, we drive back down the field and 19-yard TD to Jay.
Dakota David back to pass. Hits. Oh, can he hit him? He hits Jay Cock down the seam. And there it is. We're on the board. Pelzel Printing touchdown.
Yeah, no, it was great read. It was a designed RPO, and Dakota made the right read, made a good throw, and
It looked good.
Jay made a good catch, and there we go in the end zone.
It worked like it was supposed to.
Yeah, you know, at times, we had the same play open earlier, and Aiden dropped it. I thought the defense got there a little early. There might have been some defensive pass interference, but
Well, and that's another thing I wanted to talk about, that it's something that I take as a positive, even though it wasn't positive Friday night, but it's something that's easily correctable. We dropped 5 passes, and when I say dropped, I'm talking about literally in both hands, not just one hand. 2 of those were in the end zone that could have been touchdowns. That's something that can be corrected and changed moving forward.
yeah, and when you get in desperate times and you start, we threw to the end zone, and I thought Jay made a catch on the sideline. The official that was behind Jay didn't think so. The official that was closer to us thought so, which that wasn't the only call that official missed that night. Threw it to Aiden in the other corner of the end zone, and he had it, dropped it, and if you look at film and you watch it in slow motion, it looks like he caught it again. They disagreed. And then the throw in the middle of the field to Avery, he had it, had 2 hands on it, and then got contacted by the free safety, and the ball came out. That uncharacteristic of Avery for sure. But that's the way it happened. It's hard to explain. I don't. Aiden dropped one that was a drag route across the field that it hit him right in the hands. He just it didn't happen.
Which that's, like I say, when you go through this and you start picking up the pieces, that's something that can change next week without fixing anything. It's just they catch those balls instead of not catching them.
Yeah, and do we win the game? I don't know. Does it change a lot? It would help, but it doesn't. It's hard to predict.
Oh yeah.
What would happen, but it goes back to exactly what you said. If you make those plays, it can't help but be more positive.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it didn't. There's no way it could possibly hurt us.
So we catch a majority of the 5 balls. We correct some of the busted plays. Not fumble as many. That's just. It's a whole chain of events that any of these we could change.
It is, and
it's the perfect storm.
It was the perfect storm on a perfectly weird week at Pilot Point High School.
Yeah.
Well, not at Pilot Point, because we weren't actually able to go to Pilot Point High School.
Yeah, the perfect storm by what we did here. The perfect game plan by Whitesboro.
Yeah.
Perfect execution by Whitesboro.
They made the plays whenever the plays had to be made, and that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. Well, anything else as far as in the detail end of it here you want to cover? I'm looking at your face. I'm thinking not. You're just wanting to go ahead and get on to commercial break and move on.
Not that I can think of.
All right, well, let's catch a commercial break and let Travis eat this Hostess Ding Dong here, and then we'll come back and wrap it up.
Pelzel Barbershop and Salon and Southern Junkies has been home of the Bearcats since 1973. Whether you are looking for a classic crew cut or the perfect game day outfit, we have you covered. We carry a few fan favorite brands including Hey Dude Shoes, Judy Blue Jeans, Z Supply Clothing, and Orleans Candle Company. Come check us out on the north side of the square in downtown Paula Point or online at www.southernjunkies.com, and that is junkies with a Z. And don't forget, go Bearcats!
We're going to take a break from our show to give a word about the Nutrition Den. Ken and Angela, they offer a full line of Herbalife products. You can get a workout shake, a protein shake, meal replacement. They have energy drinks. They have a full line of products that can help you meet your health goals. Not only that, they're great people. They're fun to be around. They're fun to talk to.
Hit them up on Grubhub.
You can hit them up on Grubhub. And social media, they're active on their Facebook, which is the Nutrition Den. And there's even a check-in special to go along with their daily specials that they have almost every day of the week. So thank you, Ken and Angela. Thank you, Bearcat Nutrition Den. Now back to the show.
There is no better source for local news than the Pilot Point Post-Signal. Pilot Point Post-Signal has been covering Pilot Point since 1878, providing award-winning, top-notch coverage of Pilot Point and the Pilot Point Bearcats. You can start your subscription today by going to postsignal.com and signing up for their special, which is 2 months free of the digital and print copy, or you can call their phone number at 940-686-2169. The Pilot Point Post-Signal, the best source for local news. All right, we're back. Coach Marsh still didn't touch that ding-dong, and I guess we're going to wrap this up and finally put this week to bed and start focusing on Ponder. So, what's your final thoughts, and then close it out for us?
Well, I mean, the final thoughts are probably not good, but that's about all my thoughts on this game. The best thing is we get to play again on Friday, and I know I've already said that, but looking forward to Ponder. We'll do a pregame show at some point, but we're still in it. We still have a chance. We still hold the keys to our own destiny. And that's positive. I thought that overall, it was just it was not a good game, period. And that's all there is to it. But there's lessons to be learned. There's things that can be changed. There's the opportunity to change those things. The players are going to get coached up on the mistakes that they made. And we'll move forward. It's no different. It sounds stupid to say it. It's no different on if you flip-flop the scores and we won 24-6. We would still come in Monday. We would still have problems that we have to fix. Still have players that we got to coach up, and that's the mindset that you have to have. I get the disappointment because I'm right there with them. I'm right there with anybody who has a problem with the fact that we lost this game. Me too. But you if you get in coaching for the good times, it is a sorry profession. This happens, and this is where you earn your paycheck, in my opinion. And maybe I have it all wrong. I don't know. But
everyone's in 3A season will pretty much end in a loss unless you don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So there's only one team.
There's one team that ends
thrilled
where I want to.
Yes.
And not every program or not every coach has those expectations. But I know what the expectations are here, and that's that we want to make steps and strides towards, getting that last trophy. And so, it sucks. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And the point blank, it sucks. But you have to be able to take a bad game and turn it into a positive, which is what we are having to do now. And no, the outcome's not positive, but it doesn't have to be the thing that defines us. And one thing that my dad's always told me is through problems comes progress.
I think it is the thing that needs to define you in a positive way, like you said regarding the Prosper thing.
Yeah, and that's it. Through problems comes progress. And, we have a problem. Now we just have to do our due diligence to make the progress, and that's from top to bottom. I don't think, watching the film, and we've said this before, it's never as bad as you thought it was. It's never as good as you thought it was. And after watching the film multiple times throughout the weekend, we let one get away. I agree, but it's not that we're 5-2 football team. 5-2. And I think that the attitude that permeates is that we're 1-6.
No, I'm with you. I felt the same way. And Friday night, I was like, this thing was a total mess. And what little film, obviously, got some things backwards in the detail. What little film I watched, we threw for 251 yards passing.
Yeah.
Our defense played, they played great as far as statistically.
Yeah.
43 yards receiving, 117 yards rushing allowed. There's definitely bright spots there.
There are. There's some positives to build on, but there's work to be done.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I guess I'm out of things to say about this game.
Well, let me let you out of this. Whatever we want to call this.
I don't know.
Whatever I've put you through.
I'm in my parents' house, so I'm not going to cuss.
So thank the sponsors and.
Yeah,
we can wrap it up.
Man, as always, and I know that the doom and gloom is now over, and I'm sure our sponsors are thinking, why in the world are we sponsoring the saddest show in America? But we really appreciate the Nutrition Den, the Pilot Point Post Signal, Ashley Marsh Photography, Southern Junkies, Pelzel Printing, Dana Walker with Germania Insurance, and last but not least, Chandler Cabinets for their gracious support of this podcast that we're going to bring to you win or lose. And we can't draw, so we can't bring it to them win, lose, or draw. But we sure thank them. And as those local businesses support this program, Bearcat fans, make sure you go support these local businesses. And as always, go Bearcats.